Hola, my friends. Now, Bella, I just wanted to tell you, thank you for saying I had such a pretty yard and garden, but it's not mine. I'm actually house sitting and dog sitting for a relative who's away at a funeral, and that is her beautiful backyard and garden. And today, what I really wanted to do was show you guys, just briefly, show you guys this, what do they call it? They call it a garden cottage. They built it. Her husband and his couple of sons that are contractors up north came down and they designed it and built it. It's really cool. But as I was out there getting my thoughts together and getting ready to make this video, one of the neighbor kids came out into his backyard next door and started playing his trumpet loudly and badly. It sounds like a bellowing cow. 3 out of 4 dogs immediately started barking and got upset. And I realized I had to come in the house to make this video. And I'll be darned as we're walking in, a squawky clarinet joined in. And I was like, oh, good gravy. So I'm not going to show you the cottage. But one thing I will show you is, and then we can see if their band members are still playing. I want to show you her pool bathroom because I love masonry. And I absolutely went nuts for the towel they chose to put in this cabana bathroom. And a couple dogs followed me out. So let's just all cross our fingers Addie doesn't start barking. They added on to their house so they could make their master bathroom more grand. And so while they were at it, they also added this extension to put in a cabana. They call it a cabana bathroom. It's like an outside bathroom, right? So look at this tile. You're gonna love it. Well, I love it. You see that? I don't know if that, well, there is a light on, but it just is hard to, oh, the sunlight. How can I stand here? It's so colorful. You know what? If I ever tiled my house, I would love to do that in my whole house. And that's probably because I have I don't have good taste. I just have bizarre taste, but really like it. You can see it's decorated with fish. It has a ceiling fan. I see they have a fish theme. They have others, pelican. And then they also have a mermaid. Oh yeah, okay, they also have a mermaid. It's the cutest bathroom. But this is the tile. I love this tile. Okay, now we're gonna have a fun video today because, I mean, good gravy, those last 2 videos were rather heavy. So today what I want to do is I'm just going to read you some quotes from these trials that are my favorites. Let me see. Okay, come on, guys. And I won't say who said them right at first, and you can kind of test yourself and see if you know. And I'm going to start. The first one is kind of my favorite one because a lot of people missed this. But it might have been the second trial, but I really think it was the first trial. And Tara Kawaz. Oh, no, I said who said it. Tara Kawaz was questioning Jessica, who is Luis Rivera's baby mama, girlfriend, and I don't know why I think she just like it was a misspoken word or something, but she came right out and said to Jessica, Miss Kappelman is pregnant, and the whole courtroom was like, what? But yeah, she said that accidentally. It was a kind of a moment of levity, right? Okay, here's my notes so I can tell you some more. Okay, here's one that I really like. I'm not making explanations. I'm just explaining what happened. That's Charlie. He thought it was the Aladdin Kings, not Latin Kings, Aladdin Kings, like the Disney movie. Of course, Dan Rashbaum. Okay, here's a couple quotes. These are simple. I didn't turn. The road was blocked with tape. I turned, but the road was blocked with tape, so I did a K-turn. And then, of course, there's another one where I think she admits to driving further down the road, whatever. And of course, that's Wendy. And what this kind of made me think of was, do you guys realize that they not only were willing to snuff out the life of their boy's father, but the timing of it, they planned it when they were willing to take this huge risk and have it occur when Dan had custody of the boys. Okay, they're at daycare, right? Do you guys know little kids? I've had kids, and my grandchildren, they're always sick. They get colds, runny noses, fevers. It's so common. I'm saying the chance that Dan could have been called in to the daycare to pick up his kids because one of them had come down with a fever or something, maybe it wasn't probable, but it was possible. It was possible. That's like Murphy's Law, right? And they were still willing to do it. It's just another aspect of this case that's really angering. Okay. All right. My next quote would be, start with a big smile and a giggle. The state's not going to decide to arrest me. Okay. Man, I hope the content creators out there who have the technology ability, know-how, will make a clip of that and play it over and over after she gets arrested. I love that. And, I was just wondering, why is Arrogance so disturbing? Why is it so horrible? Like, well, I'm thinking people like you and me with, I don't want to say we're normal, because what's normal, right? But maybe a better word is just typical. People with like typical values who actually have some empathy. You see from the Arrogance, these arrogant people will put down others and treat everybody like they're inferior, which isn't true. And that's why I think that's why Arrogance is so upsetting. But anyway, when I was at the Metro Deli, Bella bought my lunch for me. And I think she did twice, now I think of it. She's the sweetest. She's so nice. Her name is Chewy Boy on here. You'll see her in Judy's Lives, because she's one of the mods. But anyway, Bella bought my lunch, and then I turned and I bought Katya's lunch, who was behind me in line, and she's so sweet. And she was so surprised, and she's like, what? No, you don't need to buy my lunch. But I did. And, it was like Bella was ahead of me in line. She bought my lunch, just like pass on the kindness, right? So let's see. Let me read this part. What I wrote. Spreading kindness was a great way to combat the stress of witnessing this trial that dwelled on so much cruel behavior. So, okay. Now, here's something I didn't think of till I saw a recent, as you know, I missed the beginning of this trial, and I maybe didn't see Jeff Lacasse's whole testimony, but it seems to me I just recently saw this where I don't know which lawyer, one of them said to him, you have a PhD, should I address you as doctor? And he said, oh no, call me Jeff, just call me Jeff, right? Now, Charlie, let's compare it to Charlie when Georgia Kaplan said, you watch The Cross. I'm embarrassed to say I probably have watched it 20 times. Anyway, Georgia starts out by saying, Mr. Adelson, is it doctor? Does he say, yeah, just call me Charlie? No, he says, it is. And he fell right into her trap, because there were times when he was being ridiculous and she would get frustrated. You remember this, where she'd be like, doctor, like he played right into her hands. It just, I think it made such a point to the jury that this guy, here he is a doctor and he did this. Okay. And Jeff Lacasse, he's so humble. He's such a sweetheart. Okay, this is my last one. Au contraire. I actually don't even know that guy's name. One of Donna's witnesses, maybe Mr. Gunderson, one of those old guys, and au contraire, everybody made fun of him for saying that on the stand, and I had to think, I was embarrassed, because I know in one of my past videos here, I said au contraire. But here's the difference, guys. I said that to a group of friends, just being like dramatic about whatever I was talking about. This man said it on the stand in a courtroom, and au contraire, it just seemed very grandiose and maybe performative, and I don't think that's respectful to the court at all. This is how I think he should have answered. He should have said, no, actually, the opposite is true. We became closer friends, and that's all. You don't go into detail, then expound on we traveled the world together because I'm experienced, and we went to Vietnam. When you're a witness on the stand, you answer the specific thing being asked and you don't add more information at all. Because what happens is if, say Georgia is interviewing a witness, if they go on and give more information, that gives the defense more they can question them on. You don't want to help them. There's actually, I don't want to say it's famous, but there's an example of this that I read. I'll tell it to you because I think it's kind of funny. There was a lawsuit between a railroad company and the employees at I think they called it some kind of a cross stop or something. And the railroad, there was maybe a collision and the railroad got sued. And in the trial, the night watchman was a witness on the stand, and the lawyer asked him, what was it like that night? And he said it was completely pitch dark. And then he said, how did you respond to the train approaching? And he said, I went right into the crosswalk and I held up a lantern with two hands and I waved it back and forth. Okay? In the end, the railroad won. They won the lawsuit. Guess what? The guy who was the watchman who was being interviewed later told the lawyer, thank God he didn't ask me if the lantern was lit. You see what I mean? You don't add any extra information, none. So this is what I was hoping I could get out of that book that I read and start really going through analyzing the testimony and all the mistakes that were made. But the book is really geared to just expert witnesses. It didn't go into as much other stuff, although that's where I read the example about the case with the train waving the unlit lantern. So there is some stuff. There's a chapter on different types of defense lawyers, and I was reading through that, and that was kind of interesting too. I might actually make a video about that a little bit. So I think that's it. I think that's all I want to say. Oh, yeah. I've noticed in the last couple of videos, I'm constantly playing with my hair. So I'm really trying not to do that. But I was just going to tell you guys why I'm very self-conscious about my bangs. And that is because I have a big scar across my forehead. I don't know if you can see that. Why didn't he put that in my hairline? I don't know. So that's why I keep my bangs down. It wasn't really exactly cosmetic surgery, and I actually think this might be genetic because it happened to my mother too. But in my 40s, the whole right side of my face started sagging, worse and worse, and this side didn't. It stayed in place. My mother had the same thing happen, and she never did anything about it. And by the time she was in her, I want to say maybe late 60s, she couldn't even see out of this eye because everything was hanging in front. And also, there's just something about her example to me over the years about how she didn't take care of herself, like she wasn't worthy to or something, that there was something that to me was a bad example to me. It bothered me. She didn't, I mean, her teeth, like, when I before I went into cancer treatment, I went to the dentist. I have dental phobia. I hadn't been in years because my dentist retired, who I trusted, and I just didn't go. Well, when I was diagnosed with cancer, they talk about how chemo can cause sores in your mouth, and it's best to start out with clean teeth. So I didn't have a dentist, so I started kind of calling around, and I called this one dentist, and he saw me immediately. And when I came in just to get my teeth cleaned, and I was willing to come back later, you got my business and my gratitude, you can fix my teeth. But he ended up, they took a full set of x-rays. They ended up doing so much inspection of my mouth that day, they didn't even get to the cleaning. And they had to do another appointment. And I had really bad front teeth. The teeth that Harvey put all those cosmetic fillings in, my teeth were chipped and they were so bad. And my mother never took care of her teeth. They were all jagged, just horrible. So I remember I just had that, I don't want to have teeth like my mother. So anyway, the dentist said he wanted me to do I can't remember if I had 6 or 8 crowns in front. And I told him, well, yeah, I should have that done, but I know I don't have time before my cancer treatment starts. You know what he did? He said, oh, yes, you do. He brought in a skeletal staff on a Saturday. I'm a new patient, mind you. He opened the office, he brought in a skeletal staff, and he saw me on a Saturday, and he fixed all my teeth. And then, well, there must have been one appointment. You know, you drill them down and put temporary caps on them. And the lab has to make them. And then I think it was a Saturday. He opened them and had me come in, and he and his assistant put all that in there. You know how they do that? One at a time. And just think about it. Can you imagine as you're placing these, if you get to the end and you just don't have enough space for the last one? I don't know how he does that. But he put each one in, and they all went in perfectly. I'm telling you, when I floss, I have really good contacts, but they're not too tight that you can't floss. Okay, why am I going on and on about this? Okay, sorry. Jabberjaws here. I'm going to sign off and hope you guys are all doing great, and catch you next time.